Hey, I'm Jay Spears with Avid Technology. We're sitting here in the heart of Times Square at Tainted Blue Studios with owner and executive producer Andrew Koss. Andrew's been kind enough to discuss his System 5 Fusion audio console. Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Andrew, we're sitting here in Tainted Blue. How long have you been operating here?
We've been here for about 5 years, and this facility has a lot of history. It goes back 20, 30 plus years as a music facility. It's gone through a lot of changes over that time, but we came in and tried to give it a new look and a new modern feel to the New York studio scene.
That's great. And being a commercial studio in New York City, who are some of the artists that sometimes you guys cater to?
We've had a lot of great artists here. It's a popular facility because of its privacy, and we're up here on the penthouse of this building. We've had everybody through these floors from Coldplay and McCartney to Alicia Keys and a lot of stuff in between.
And you also have your own production company as well.
Yes, we work with a bunch of young and aspiring artists that we're very excited about and working to help develop their careers and set up writing opportunities for them and publishing and production and trying to get their presence known and provide a space where they can really make their music what it needs to be in order to find success in this industry right now, where demos aren't cutting it anymore. You need to have a great sounding radio ready record.
So being that you have your own production company and you cater to a large variety of different styles of music, being a commercial space, how has the Fusion helped accommodate all these different needs?
Well, part of the challenge of working in so many different facets of music and our artists and the rentals is being able to work quickly and efficiently, being able to cater to a lot of different engineers, producers, artists, their needs and the way they like to work. Being able to learn in 10 minutes how a person likes to work and having that something we can give them every time they walk in the door is incredible. And also being able to manage time where they are on budgets now. They don't spend money like without thought anymore. It's very time conscious, and we can work very quickly and being able to provide instant recalls and really move fast. And as well as if we have a 4-hour window to work with one of our projects, we can get in here and get out in seconds, whereas in the older days it would have taken much more time and just been impossible to even do.
So what other advantages, does the Fusion provide compared to what you had in here before?
Well, we had our SSL J9000 on here, and it was a wonderful sounding desk, and it was a flagship in its day. But unfortunately, it didn't provide the workflow that we really needed, and we cater to a lot of young clients, new producers, new engineers, upcoming artists, people that don't have that experience on those old analog desks, and they feel almost lost on them because it's just overwhelming, and we're not really taking advantage of it. People were far more comfortable in Pro Tools staying in the box, and they would use it as a monitoring source, which is a shame. On the other side, recall was tedious and unstable, and the ability for us to be able to get in and out quick or bring back a session quickly was key because they're on the clock. They don't want to have to spend an hour bringing back their work from the day before. And they feel because we can cater the workflow to their needs, be it control surface or audio levels, we can build a situation that feels like what they are used to and comfortable with. And we find them taking way more advantage of the capabilities of the desk than they ever did when there was an analog console in here.
Well, that's a good point, too. I mean, the Fusion is capable of being a Pro Tools or actually any other DAW control surface via Yukon, and it also has a DSP-based digital audio console system as well. Do you guys find yourself using both features of the console?
I'm pretty sure that there is nothing quite like this desk in the world. What you can do on here daily surprises me. To me, having the audio layer is crucial. Having just a control surface was not something I wanted for this facility. I wanted to have an ability that the console provided something extra to the user's music, to my music, to our client's music. And they were getting something more than just a way to control the software, but an element on top of that if they so chose to use it, but still be able to offer them the control surface comfort, because plenty of artists like to work that way and want to work that way. Being able to not just switch between a mode, but manually place audio next to Pro Tools controllers, next to any level, is an incredible ability that this desk has that I've never seen, and it really feels like you're working in the future of music production because you have all the routing capabilities of a large format desk, Pro Tools is wonderful with the hardware inserts and the ability for us to get to outboard gear, but it's meant to be an insert. The Fusion has 24, our Fusion has 24 group buses and a bunch of mix buses and 16 aux buses, and you can start chaining gear in our room with ease. And incredibly enough, be it for our own work and even our clients, is we find them using way more analog gear now, not because it's a digital desk and they need this analog vibe, but because they can actually get to it easily and not need to worry about the patch bay and trying to take a photo with the patch bay so they remember exactly every routing element. And when they open up their session tomorrow morning, every piece of gear in the room is back where it was. And that is a feature that was one of the selling points day one for us, was that you could bring back a mix and all your drums were back in a piece of a compressor and vocals were going back through another piece of gear, and it was all instantaneous. So it gives you these elements that are so much deeper than a control surface, but still gives you the ability to manage plugins or automate or ride levels with a fader as opposed to a mouse. So it really is just the best of both worlds.
That is a great aspect of the Fusion. It's got the DSP-based digital audio console system and the hybrid Yukon layer. What features of the hybrid do you find yourself using on a daily basis?
Personally, I don't use the control surface so much in the mixing sense of laying out 24 Pro Tools faders and moving them, though we certainly have plenty of clients who do. But being able to bring a track down onto the desk for automation for either of level ride, or even what I use often is, I have a huge library of software synths that I really love, and being able to assign them to faders or pots on the console and start, manipulating them that way, it's like I'm using one of my physical synths, and it's a really great aspect. Not to mention, we often will do, with using multiple layers, we'll have Pro Tools faders below audio faders and can manipulate either pre or post desk depending on the routing of that track going through outboard gear or not. And it really allows for a level of flexibility that is really bar none.
So clients who have automation already in Pro Tools, whether they've done it at home, on their laptops, or at other studios, can come here, put those channels on the surface. The console will then play back that automation?
Exactly, and then they can add to it or control it in a more fine detail. It certainly provides a little bit higher level of clarity and control that isn't available necessarily in the software, and that's what made control surfaces so wonderful. But instead of having to have a separate desk next to me with a MIDI controller, or I can have it on my desk. And one of the very first things we were aware of was that making sure the console had a sound, had its own entity, that there was a reason to use it as a console and not just a control surface, that it brought something more to the music. And I think on the very first session we did here, we opened it up and we ran tracks to 2 faders, and then we ran them across a bunch, and it was undeniable. The punch and sound of this console is a very true thing, and it's definitely different than our SSL was, but in a lot of ways for me it's better. And I think we found, especially with the classical and jazz clients, they love that because it's clean and really, really present and has this wonderful, the low end has this really great sound to it, and the EQs and compressors on the desk are incredible, and it's so much better than having to use plugin after plugin when you have 116 incredibly dynamic compressors and gates and limiters and expanders, and then all the EQ potential too.
Yeah, another thing with the large format analog audio console is you were kind of restricted to having that one sound.
That's really true, and they're very particular sounds, so it's not so subtle where it's, it's like everything is going to have that element that what those consoles added. And something we've done is add a whole lot of outboard options to add a little bit of that color if a client wants that. But the console itself has a really distinct sound of its own that just always feels, be it jazz or rock or pop music that we do, or our hip hop clients and R&B clients, they've always been ecstatic about it, and it really brings its own characteristics to your music, but maybe not so much in an intrusive way where it forces it upon you.
So with the Fusion being totally modular, you guys chose this setup and we kind of built this surface around your requirements. Do you want to talk a little bit about why you chose the modules that you did and where you placed them?
On a digital console like the Fusion, choices are so incredibly open-ended that you start to realize that knobs are knobs because they can be, but they don't have to be what you traditionally thought of them as, and you can start using things to do different tasks, and every bucket can be where you want it. And we tried different, when we built the frame, we tried different choices, and I've seen people who use the same desk lay it out slightly different. We wanted 4 buckets of faders because most of our engineers like to have more than just 8 or 16 or even 24 options in front of them. But you really could do it on less. It's so modular. The production desk offers a great way to keep centered without having an LCD screen up in your stereo image, which was a huge problem actually on our old desk, is that we had a screen that was floating above and it would block the near fields and even affect the mains to some degree. And this offers us a way to have a gorgeous Apple cinema display embedded right into the desk, and we have a spot to write with and our mouse and keyboard and so on. But it could just as easily be located elsewhere. And then the master section in the center, gives you the feel of the old large format desks.
So being that you can put anything anywhere, how have engineers and other clients responded to having this console as the centerpiece of your studio?
Well, I really think a lot of them have been pleasantly surprised because they were not necessarily sure what they were walking into. Some people have memories of the early digital consoles, which were actually pretty cool too. But when they start seeing us lay down a stereo channel, if maybe they're working out of the first 8 channels are stereo channels, and we can set up stereo faders for them so they don't have to work with a left and right fader. But then we can put mono ones for their bass and vocals. You can start to see the smile come to their face when they start like, well, how can I get to that? And you're like, oh, well, which way would you like to do it? And it's laid out in a very comprehensive way. It's not, it does feel like a traditional desk, and obviously in the channel strip layout, and even the patch net and using the software is very intuitive to what an old patch bay felt like. There's an input and an output, and you route it the same way. It's just with a mouse click instead of a patch cable. So it's not scary to engineers who are used to one way, and it comes very quick. We had a session just a week ago where I had to leave for a while, and an engineer was mixing one of my songs, and he'd never worked on this desk before. And I came back. I went to dinner, and I came back, and he had automation on almost every channel. He had EQs being automated. He was automating aux throws through the aux ends. And he did it. He just grabbed the manual from our back room, and in half an hour, he was able to figure all that out. I was actually I was amazed when I came in and saw all that he had done with such relative ease. So there is the learning curve really is very approachable, and we're really discovering new features almost on a weekly basis. And I get a little bit giddy every time we find one where I'm like, oh man, this is just gonna make the song. And it's kind of cool to have a desk where that happens, where you're like, wow, this element is really going to change the way my music sounds.
It's been about a year now since Avid acquired Euphonics. How have you found that the integration between the two worlds has come together for you?
When I heard about it, I wasn't totally sure what to expect, but I've been really, really thrilled with the new version of Pro Tools 9. The integration has taken this desk to another level that was already really great. And what I love is that it's just the first round. Avid was incredibly fast on integrating the technology, and Pro Tools 9 launched with Yukon control, and that's no small achievement. Avid's been really good about listening to clients like myself and other engineers and producers about what we need from a desk, or what we would dream of having on our desk and its relationship to Pro Tools. And I've already seen several instances where a new feature has been added that I'm sure I'm not the only one who requested it, but they've been very aware of what the common user wants to be able to do. And I'm very excited about what will be added over the next months into the next years.
So in terms of support, we at Avid feel like on a pro level such as this, it's more of a partnership. I mean, do you feel that we've honored that side of the relationship?
We knew we were undertaking a big decision by installing this, and we knew we would need that support, especially at the start, because it was a new world for us, and we didn't have anybody in-house that had so much experience on it. So we needed to know we could reach out, and it really has been incredible. Because we're a public studio, we run 24 hours a day, and sometimes we need a question answered at 4 a.m, and it's never been an issue, and that's pretty remarkable on a pro level to have that to have the relationships with the people at the company. And sometimes we'll have a question that comes up that it's not such that there's a problem, it's just that we don't know how to answer that for a client because we've never needed to do what they want to do, and I'm not totally sure how to do it. But I can call, and it's usually, of course, there is a way to do it, and we'll get the answer. So they've been really good, and that was a big concern for me, is to know that we had somebody out there that would walk us through issues that arose and help, and know we could turn to when there was a question.
So as a studio owner, having come from the analog world and now into the digital, what aspects of this system do you find different, and how has it improved your business?
Well, it's been multifaceted, and really it's helped in several different ways. Obviously, there's the workflow and the ability to cater to our clients and learn how they like to work, and then they know that they get what they like when they walk in the door and don't have to ask and don't have route-in choices or just work surface choices are all ready for them, and they'll be their template, and they can start every song fresh with their template. We don't even have to set it up. So there's obviously a speed improvement. On a strictly business-oriented front, when we had the analog desk, our electric bill was incredibly high. But the next month, after we installed the Fusion, the electric bill came, and it was, with no exaggeration, over 2/3 less than it had been the month before. And the only thing that changed in the entire facility was the desk.
From being a producer and studio owner, I mean, you can come in the morning and you can work on your projects, and literally, 5-10 minutes later, you can book a session and they can open up a title and the whole desk resets to how they were.
Exactly. I've had clients who are friends of mine come in, and I might have an artist in from out of town, and they can go on a dinner break, and I can play the client a mix, pull up my mix, completely going back to outboard gear, and shut it back down, and they haven't even ordered their appetizers yet.
So, I mean, it's safe to say, you dig the console?
Every day a little bit more. I regret not having it years ago, both for my own music and my own artists, and what it brings to what I write and what I create, and also what our clients experience, and of course as a business owner as well. But we're ecstatic with it. It's a competitive field, and to have this kind of new technology and to really feel like you're ahead of the technology curve, which is an incredibly rare feeling when you deal with anything in technology, be it your computers or laptops or your cell phone, to have something where you say, this is the future. Like, this isn't what everyone else is doing. This takes what everyone else tried to do and shoot it 10 years further along. This is where music needs to go, this kind of work environment, this kind of sound, this kind of flexibility.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today and share your amazing studio with us, And as we've learned, 5 minutes from now, we could turn these cameras off and you could do a session. So,
oh, yeah. In fact, I will be doing one.
So where can people go to find out more information on the studio, how to book, and the gear, etc.?
We're online at taintedblue.com. We would love people to come and try this console out, because I don't think you can truly understand what the potential is until you sit down at it and just go. Just open up a session and just go and start trying stuff. It's life-changing for your music.